Welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and today I'm going to try to I keep saying I'm going to try to keep videos short, and I end up mumbling and making them longer than they should be. We're really going to try today, though. So, what's going on? Well, welcome back to my low rent production. Three items up on the menu today. Number one, Nvidia is modifying the power connectors. The 12-pin, 600-watt capable connectors that on the 4090s are having some issues. One thing, they like to say that it's prone to, how do they say it? It's prone to catching on fire due to user error. I think the thing's just not designed well. Like they really should have thought through the human factor on this. The current design, you can not have it snapped in all the way, and it will still deliver power, and that was a design flaw in my opinion. But what Nvidia has done is they have actually roughly, you can see here from this picture, so they've got the new and the old. The pins here for this connector are much longer than this, which means hopefully in order for it to work, you've got to have it snapped all the way in. It makes perfect sense. I don't know why you'd make the connector to where it would operate when not completely seated. Should be, it makes a little bit too much sense. I think this is a temporary fix. This is kind of a workaround, but it should be effective, because that seems to be the going deal on what the issue is the connectors more often than not don't get all the way seated, which calling that user error is a little, because you can technically get it to snap in and it not be seated. And so I don't know if I want to call that completely just user error. I think that for you to be able to do that is not the greatest design. I think that's flawed. So in a good thing, it's good that they're actually taking some sort of measures to kind of rectify that. So you can see here all the pins are shorter. This pin looks like it's way shorter. I wonder if that's like the connector that tells it it's okay to power on. Anyway, recessed pins. Yeah. So that's kind of a good thing to see. Hopefully that will carry over into your 4090s. Because what's weird is, I don't know why they didn't do this in the 4090s first. Those are the ones that seem to be having the most problem with it. That's who they need to actually start this out with. Which I'm glad they did on the 4070. They should probably do it on all of them. But, the 4070, as far as I'm aware, isn't the one that's having the problem. Anyway, so that's that story. That's good to see. Maybe hold off if you're planning on buying a Nvidia GPU just for a little bit. Hopefully they can roll these out to all the new cards. Ideally, what I would like to see is them shuffle the stock. In other words, take the stock back that doesn't have this connector, put the stock in that does, and then put the new connector on the old ones. And then I'm just dreaming there, like they're not going to do that, but that would be ideal. Like, this connector still works. The whole thing is, I would highly advise, if you buy a new Nvidia GPU, make sure that when you seat it down, that it's on there. And what I mean by that is, like, look and make sure that the two plastic connectors are actually together. There's no gap. Kind of look around, get your phone out, use your, phone flashlight. That's my tried and true technique. Just look around and make sure that the connector's fully seated before you just carry on about your build. and double check it when you put your panels on, because one theory is that people have them plugged in, then they tighten and cable manage everything. They put their panel on and it pulls in that connector and thus puts a gap there, and that could be potentially a hazard to the plug. So yeah, double check that. Next item. Okay, so the 6950 XT from AMD has been, for at least the last few months, kind of the going deal. It's kind of been the card that is like, it's at a price where I think most people would find it appetizing, because this thing pretty much, just in raw performance, it beats the brakes off of a 4070, and that's how much it costs. It competes with a 4070 Ti, but the 4070 Ti is a couple $100 cheaper, more expensive. So this has been a very good value for money, but they're drying up. They're starting to run out. Right now, Micro Center is about the only place that's still got them for about $600. So let me go check just base video cards right now. If I go look. Yeah, and the custom cooled ones are still not bad. You got a couple here, but outside of these, that's pretty much it. You're not going to find these going down in price much further. So while stocks last, like say at Micro Center, like they've got 0 stock now. This is an open box. So they've got 11 of these. This is the Dallas store. Yeah. They've got 25 plus in stock in these. So once the 6950 XTs run out, I don't think they're going to get replenished. I think we're seeing the end of the line, and that means two things. One, again, like I'm saying, if you want to get a 6950 XT, probably now's the time. It may even be past time, depending on where you look, right? And secondly, it means that AMD is going to have to come out with something in that range of price soon. So they've got the 7900 XT. We'll go look at that real quick. Yeah, 7900 XT, which $799 is, you know, that's that couple $100 up. If you go to Newegg, you can find them for $780. If you look around, you can find them for a little bit cheaper. Oh, it says add to cart. So, ooh, if add to cart, what's it do? Oh, oh, all right. I didn't know that was still going on. Ladies and gents, that's not a bad deal. $699 for this card. I think this card should be $699. Obviously a little, right? But I think that's a in today's market, I'll call that reasonable for that level of performance. At $699, I mean, it definitely is going to, in raw performance, beat the brakes off of a 4070. And it competes with a 4070 Ti. It probably beats a 4070 Ti readily in raw performance. I'm not talking about frame generation because I don't like that. DLSS, yeah, you know, DLSS, you got a point. But this can do FSR too, and I think with the raw performance, it gets probably close even with DLSS enabled on the Nvidia card. But the deal is, and you know, it's going to age much better, or should age much better than the Nvidia equivalent, I would think, simply because if AMD finally gets their stuff together and releases a FSR3 or whatever it is software they're working on, then this is going to again probably take the lead, and it will probably stay there. if it's not already. I think it may already be faster. So it's a lot of video card for 700 bucks. I think that's not bad. So interesting. Okay, well, I didn't know that was there. I'm glad that I actually clicked on that. But that's kind of what you've got now in place of the 6950 XT, and I think AMD will have to release the base 7900 or 7900 XT. Like, they'll have to release something in that price range to get in there at that $500 price range, $600 price range. It'll probably be they're probably going to call it a 7900 because they're going to feel like they can charge more for that. So I think that's probably what they'll do. It'll probably be a $600 card. I think what they're going to do is use the cut down cores from the 7900 XT, the same ones, and they will put it on a smaller package. And then I had that in my video, the last video, I think. I talked about how they can use it on a overall cheaper package, but it's the same GPU. So I think that's probably what they'll do, and they'll put 16 gigs of RAM on it, or VRAM on it, and it'll be that. And I think that's fine. Like, that would be a pretty strong video card, honestly, if priced appropriately. But I think that all these 7900 XTs ought to be priced around 700 bucks. I think the 7900 XTX needs to get priced around 800 bucks. Probably should have been to begin with. The prices are going to slowly drop on the AMD cards as time goes on, which is very frustrating. Like, AMD, let's see if there's any deals on the 7900 XTX, huh? No? If I do lowest price. To open box for $863. But yeah, they want $1,000. To me, that's just very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I do think this is starting to get around to where it needs to be for the open box price. But I don't know. It's just very frustrating that they didn't go for market share. Anyway, I've done full rants on that. I'm not going to do that now. But yeah, just be aware. If you want a 6950 XT, you probably better get in on that. But the 7900 XT at 700 bucks is also fairly tempting for that price range. And I would probably take one of these Hellhound cards at that price if I was in the market. Lastly, Montech Air 903. So this released. This was one of the cases that they talked about at Computex. It's 65 bucks. It comes with, I think, 340 millimeter fans. Matt Lee did a video where he did a build and he did a complete blackout video. I'll tell you what, it looked pretty nice. He put a Arctic Freezer 2 up in the top, and he put a Strix ROG 4080, and it looked all right. The mesh here is very fine but very porous. It does have a full bore good dust filter on the top. Here's the thing about this case. For this price, so 65 bucks US. If we look at the top, it has a front mount. It is a USB Type-C. Those USB Type-Cs are actually not the cheapest thing to produce. So that was that's very good of them to actually have that, honestly. It has, the roof is vented. I mean, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. I'm actually pretty into this. I think even a non-total budget build, like you could get away with this case and it would work really well. I'm really kind of surprised. Like Montech's doing it. Like they're bringing out a lot of those cases that I thought were really good, and they're taking so this is I think the inner chassis, the actual case itself is the Montech Sky 2 case, and they've just updated it to put front mesh on the very front. Left the like normally, so this spot right here is where the fan mounts would go on a Sky 2. So I think it's the same chassis, but they've just modified it slightly, and now you can have 340 mil fans in the front, a 360 millimeter radiator in the front. You can have 360 millimeters of radiator in the top, and so if you got if you want to go crazy with water cooling, you could. Yeah, just a very capable case, and with the USB Type-C front I/O, that's a really good deal for $65. And you can get the Max one. The only difference is I think they up the fans. Yeah, so they give you 3 RGB fans in the front, 3 140s, mind you. So if you want to go ahead and populate the front with RGB fans, they sell a version that will go ahead and do that for you. And they add a fan, and it's only $10 more if you want to do that. That's not bad. It's really not bad. So I would say, yeah, like I'm in favor of that case. That could be a little bit more budget option. I mean, again, it's tough for me to recommend cases when you've got Lee & Lee with that 216 sitting at around $100. But if you need to save $25, honestly, this case's capabilities are not far off of that, I don't think. I would love for a Gamers Nexus or somebody to do a review of this case, because I think it would do, for a no-nonsense, no-frills build, this would do pretty well. And so I just want to bring that to your guys' attention. Maybe if you're looking to build right now or looking to build in the future, you could save $1 or $2. But yeah, it's a good case, I think, from what I've seen. I'm excited to see what the other variations of this case are going to look like. They're supposed to come out with I think it's a Montech Sky 2 GD and GX. And I think the GX will be a front mesh panel, and the GD will be a solid panel, but will have the intake from the side. So it won't be a glass on the front. It'll be a brushed aluminum look front with side ventilation. So I'm kind of curious to see what those cases look like. I don't know. I saw the Computex coverage for various outlets, and Montech looked like they were really coming at it with the various cases. So I thought that was good. But honestly, yeah, if I was going to do a regular no frills build, but I wanted the most capability of holding big components and radiators, and I was on a budget, this might fit the bill. So really cool. Anyway, folks, that's it. That's all I got for you today. I really appreciate it if you watched all the way through the video. Like and subscribe if you haven't. If you've gotten to this point, then by all means, go ahead if you'd like to, or don't, because maybe I just ramble too much for you, and this is not your thing. That's fine too. At any rate, I hope you guys had a great week and a great weekend. Hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. I am really stuffed with hamburgers and hot dogs after the weekend, or after the 4th. So yeah, it was good. Hope everybody else had a good one too. Thank you. You guys have a great one.